G'day, cunts. How you going?
That's definitely. I'm going to use that somewhere. Hello, and welcome to the very first ever episode of the WikiLinks podcast. My name is George, and with me is my BFF, hashtag BFF, Dean. Hello, Dean.
That's me. Hello.
He's as exciting as he sounds there throughout the whole podcast, so you'll all be on the edge of your seats throughout this show.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't tune out just yet because I do become a lot more dour as the series goes on.
He starts off energetic, but by episode 4, he really doesn't give a fuck, much like the listener.
That's it. I'm trying to track the feeling, the vibe of those at home.
So just to give you all a little introduction, seeing as you're kind enough to tune in. Dean and I have known each other for about coming near 2 decades, which is frightening. We met at college when we were about 16, been good friends since. Always been into wordplay, haven't we, mate?
We have, more so than foreplay even.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say that we sort of we connected at college through our mutual lack of affection from women, really, wasn't it?
It was. We bonded on the fact that no one wanted to bond with us.
Yeah, so it's actually quite a touching story in that sense. Also, we weren't being touched by any girls, but...
And we met on the swings, didn't we? So instead of swinging, like a lot of our youth at that age, we were just swinging on the swings in the playground, shouting bollocks in a Michael Caine voice.
What I really should do before we actually play the game is probably explain it, because it's episode 1, isn't it, Dean?
It is, and it's not the third take.
What I'll do is just explain the game, because it's pretty easy to understand. You've probably all gathered it from the trailer that's been on our socials. But basically, we compete against each other to see who can get from one Wikipedia page to another Wikipedia page in fewer clicks. Now, did I say we had to use embedded links on that page? Because we do.
I don't think you did. So, yes, we have to use only embedded links. We are allowed to do Control F, which is the find feature, in order to find words in the page, but we can't navigate off the page or search for the word directly, or else that would be cheating.
And also we can click back if we have to, but clicking back is counted as 5 clicks, because it really, if you could click back too often and that was only counted as 1, it would make the game a bit easier, really, wouldn't it? Because occasionally in this game, we'll hit a brick wall or we'll end up on a page that is really not very useful for us. It might not have many links. It might be completely obscure and we really wished we hadn't ended up there. And if we could just click back and it's only counted as 1, that would be too easy. So if we do click back, that's counted as 5 to try and put us off.
I'm hoping that the listener at home is not wishing that they'd not ended up here and being put off by this intro, but we'll see how we go.
One word you could use to describe this podcast, I think, is remarkable. Would you not agree with that?
Yes. I mean, you could remark that it was a load of crap.
I mean, lots of people, that's what sets us apart, Dean. Lots of people put a lot of planning, effort, thought process, and just drive into things like this, into their endeavours like podcasts. But we don't. We just buy a couple mics, get Wikipedia up, and sit here and chat a load of shit.
And we don't put any thought process into it at all.
There will be 2 other games on the show as we play for points. Obviously, whoever does their WikiLink in fewer clicks gets a point. But there's another point up for grabs on the show where I do something called a fake news fart, where I'll read 3 news headlines to Dean. 2 of them I've created in my sick mind. One of them is genuine, and Dean has to guess which one. If he guesses it on the first guess, he wins a point. But if he picks the 2 false ones first, I get the point. So 2 points up for grabs every episode, aren't there?
There are, exactly. 2 points apiece.
And because the show will generally be filled with offensive, poorly thought out material, we'll end with something called a shout out, where Dean and I just pick something that we think deserves a little bit of credit, or we want to give a shout out to on this massive platform we have.
That's it. Yeah, we're spreading the word here, spreading love like the Beatles.
That's your favourite part of the show, isn't it, Dean? Because you said you feel like you're approaching the end of the show at the shout out.
Exactly. It's the only part of the show I enjoy. The rest I'm just cringing.
So I guess we've done enough chit chat there. You know about the history of Dean and I, how exciting we are, what we're doing, why we're doing this, and the sort of general quality you can expect throughout the show. So, without further ado, I guess we can actually start the game, the WikiLinks game, as the show is called. Are you ready, Dean?
Very exciting. Oh, I can't even. I'm lost for words.
So you have to get from bat bomb to moustache.
From bat bomb.
Yes. Have you ever heard of a bat bomb?
I can't say I have. No.
Okay. Well, I'll let you jump on that page, and maybe you can give the listener, who probably also hasn't heard of a bat bomb, a little rundown on what it is, seeing as you'll be new to this topic as well.
I'm on the page, yes, and it's not Batman taking a shit.
No, it's not that. Do you want to say what it is?
I do. So the bomb, the bat bomb, was an experimental World War II weapon. Now, there was a lot of weapons being developed in World War II, but I think I can honestly say this is the most peculiar. It was a bomb with over 1,000 compartments. Now, each one contained a hibernating Mexican free-tailed bat.
That's lovely, isn't it?
And each bat had a small timed incendiary bomb attached to it. Okay. So it was apparently dropped from a bomber at dawn. Well, this was the plan anyway. I don't believe it was used by the looks of it. It would deploy a parachute in mid-flight to open to release the bats, which would then disperse and roost in eaves and attics in a 20 to 40 mile radius. So they're incendiary bombs, I guess, which was set on timers, which would then ignite
and then
start
explode.
fires. So they would start fires in inaccessible places.
I mean, it's a pretty fucked up story, that, isn't it? It's not pleasant. I mean, who the fuck comes up with that sort of shit?
I mean, the nuclear bomb is bad enough, but to involve an innocent horde of 1,000 bats is just next level, really, isn't it?
I mean, for anyone listening, there's a picture on the page, and initially you might think it's a happy little bat peeking through a hole, but I don't think the bat's particularly happy to be in this bomb. His little head is sticking out. He's probably very depressed being in there, isn't he?
He must be. It looks really... I mean, potentially he's hibernating.
Well, that's true. They do say he's hibernating. So how is he hibernating with his head sticking out of the hole of the bomb like that?
Maybe they take them while they're asleep and just tuck them in the little hole, like a little kangaroo in a pouch.
Could you hibernate with your head in a hole?
I have done.
Okay, right. And you need to get from that to moustache. I said that before, but I'll reiterate it. You need to get from this page to moustache.
So I have to just click any potential clickable link in this page to get to moustache. So I've got to think of a strategy, really, haven't I?
Yes, it's generally useful to think of, well, at least come up with some vague plan. You don't want to just be clicking round willy-nilly.
I'm just looking on here. You've got some other interesting C alsos that are worth noting before I move on. Anti-tank dog, explosive rat.
Anti-tank dog, explosive rat. It sounds like a cartoon series.
It does. We should create this. If the WikiLinks podcast doesn't catch on.
Everything is copyrighted in the show, so I'm afraid the adventures of Anti-Tank Dog and Explosive Rat, and now we own the intellectual property rights to that, don't we, Dean?
We do. So, I mean, the only thing that I can think at this stage, I can see here in the first paragraph, you've got a link for the United States Navy. Now, I do believe in the Navy was a song.
Oh, the song.
Yeah, it was a song by the Village People.
That's some good thinking, Dean, actually, because the Village People had moustaches.
I believe at least one or two of the members had moustaches, I'm sure of it.
I'm pretty sure they all did. Well, don't quote me on that. I'm not the biggest Village People fanboy, but I thought they all had moustaches, but I don't know. But it's a good thought.
Yeah, I mean, you've got In the Navy as their song, YMCA, Go West. They've done a number of classic songs, mate. I don't know why you're not their biggest fan.
And maybe it's because I don't own a pair of chaps.
Not even arseless chaps?
Oh, I have loads of arseless chaps. I just don't have the normal ones.
I tell you what, I'm going to click on United States Navy.
Okay, there's one.
So that's my first click. Okay.
So your plan is to try and find on this page the link for In the Navy.
That's the one. So I'm hoping at this stage that there'll be something about the Navy in culture or songs about the Navy, possibly. I don't know if that's going to be a thing.
That's what I was thinking in the culture. I mean, this is a gigantic wiki page for US Navy. It's really huge.
It really is, isn't it? I may have made a wrong move here.
Have you tried a Control F for in the Navy?
There is a in the Navy. However, I believe...
Is that just part of a sentence, not the Navy?
Yeah. Sadly, there's quite a lot about within the Navy and in the Navy, but not the song.
What about, have you tried a Control F for Village People? I mean, who knows? There might be a direct link to Village People on here.
No, the closest we've got is Jacksonville. When you type in Village.
I don't think he was a member of the Village People. Jacksonville.
That pesky Jacksonville.
He was my least favourite member of the Village People.
He was. It was a good job he went solo.
Wasn't he involved sexually with a monkey?
So I'm trying to think if there's anyone famous from the Navy who has a moustache. I'm sure there would be if we can't go down the Village People route.
What the Navy were generally known for homosexuality and moustaches, weren't they? They made lots of jokes in The Simpsons about that. I remember growing up. Funnily
enough, a friend of mine, a housemate, recently joined the Navy, and I really had to hold back from making crude jokes.
Because that would have been offensive, wouldn't it, Dean?
It would, and we'd never be offensive.
And we don't like being offensive.
No. Did you know that South Park have been given another something like 7 seasons and 14 movies?
I did read that. I thought that was, someone told me anyway. I thought that was quite staggering, really, that kind of booking.
I thought, is this a spoof article? I was waiting to see like News Hump or one of the... And I was like, no, this is on the BBC. Like, what?
Jesus. Who's commissioned them? Do you know? Is it Comedy Central?
Yeah, Comedy Central, yeah.
Wow. 14
But that gives us hope. You know, we can be as offensive as we want on this podcast because...
And still get a 14-movie deal from Comedy Central.
Exactly. So if you're listening, Comedy Central, you're a bunch of cunts.
Yeah, you fucking pricks.
Fucking wankers, mate. Anyway, I went down to the 20th century because I believed that possibly there would be something about music, but I tell you what, there's nothing. So all that I can see here is President Theodore Roosevelt. Now, I do believe he had a moustache, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sure Theodore Roosevelt had a moustache. Yeah, they going from that period of American presidents, most of them had. Although Abraham Lincoln didn't, did he? He had the chin beard.
He did. Now, the chin beard, now that's a good look.
But, well, you see, I think if I did that, it might look like religious symbology, so I don't do the chin beard. I think it might suit you better.
Well, I had a chin beard for years, didn't I?
You did, and did you not occasionally get mistaken for a Hasidic Jew?
I did. I mean, that still happens because of the size of my nose, but...
But you don't have the chin strap now to reinforce that idea.
Well, the chin strap's still there, but there's a fairly sizable tash to go with it, so it's more of a general beard, really.
Now, talking of moustaches, you did have a moustache at one point, and I feel everyone thought it suited you, even your missus, but you didn't like it, and you shaved it off.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like... I liked being called an English gentleman. I thought that was very nice.
You made me think of Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind.
Well, there you go. I mean, who wouldn't want to be associated with him? But it was when I was called Ian Rush. Now, Ian Rush is a personal hero of mine. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Liverpool fan. I love Ian Rush as a footballer and as a person. But to be compared to Ian Rush in looks,
was that you didn't take that as a compliment?
Well, it was just enough for me to decide to give it the chop.
Like, fuck the wife. I don't care what she thinks. I'm not having her imagine that she's sleeping with Ian Rush every night.
No. But yes, we can't spend the entire episode on the page for United States Navy. I do need to move on. So I've clicked on Theodore Roosevelt.
That's number 2.
Now, I didn't realise, but our Teddy, as he was affectionately known, was a very sickly child with debilitating asthma.
Should I play the noise? See, every time we learn something new and interesting, I play a noise. Now, do you think the fact that Theodore Roosevelt suffered from asthma as a child requires that noise or not yet?
I don't think so. I think, we should save that for a truly interesting piece of information.
Well, there you go. I'll let Dean make the call. So you're all going to have to hold on, everybody. We're not going to play the noise yet.
Just wait for it. It's a good noise.
Now,
So
is the word moustache in here?
Well, I've done the Control F, and it's not.
Right, he does have a cracking moustache, in fairness.
He does. I know.
So, I mean, it was a good thought process.
I mean, I'm just scrolling down the page just to see if there is anything interesting on here. I'm sure there is, but I'm skim reading, in fairness. I've reached the section for Mount Rushmore now. Correct me if I'm wrong. There may possibly be something about them carving the moustache of Teddy Roosevelt on there.
But maybe it was particularly difficult to chisel a moustache.
I know there's a lot.
Or maybe the moustache fell off at one point.
A bit like the nose on the Sphinx.
I was wondering if a moustache had fallen off the Mount Rushmore memorial, but I don't think a moustache never fell off. I'm thinking of the nose on the Sphinx, aren't I?
You were thrown. You were thrown off the scent.
So is it
now? You knows.
you can expect quality like that every week.
All right. You tell you what. I'm going to click on Mount Rushmore because I'm out of morbid curiosity. I want to know if there was anything to do with this Tash.
Now, did you know that Mount Rushmore, well, I don't know if this is true, but I did hear this on a documentary, was supposed to feature the four presidents that it does feature, which is George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. And it was supposed to feature one of the most famous leaders in the Native American community. Did you know that?
I do. It was a very famous hill as well, wasn't it? The mountain itself was very sacred for the Native Americans as well. I did know that. Yeah,
and it was supposed to feature, like I say, the face of one of the Native American leaders. But apparently, and I mean, I don't know if this is true, but it's what I heard, that it was chiseled originally. The only person that had the skills to chisel Mount Rushmore was a member of the Ku Klux Klan or the far right, and he refused to chisel the face of the Native American leader. So it got left out.
That's disgusting.
Isn't that a lovely story if it's true? I mean, it's probably better to hope it's not a true story, but either way, nobody really comes out of it looking great.
Especially as it's referred to as the shrine of democracy. So,
yeah, well, isn't that ironic?
It's not exactly freedom and love, is it?
It's not, but there might be moustaches on there, which is a lot more fun.
Yes, let's hope so. But apparently it does say that Mount Rushmore was conceived with the intention of creating a site to lure tourists.
Lure tourists to what? To their death?
Perhaps.
Well, luckily I've never been, and maybe I won't go now.
No, it doesn't appeal to me. I'd love to see the Grand Canyon and a lot of other Native American sites and beautiful nature, Yellowstone. But Mount Rushmore has never appealed.
Now, weirdly, only one of those four faces has a moustache, and that's the Theodore Roosevelt one.
I know. So I don't really know what I'm doing here, to be honest.
Does it have you Control F'd moustache on here?
There's no moustache. I have tried.
Oh dear.
So unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to go for someone else that I know had a moustache. I can see on here, Buffalo Bill.
Yes, I know about Buffalo. In fact, as you've mentioned Buffalo Bill, I know it's not the shout out time, but I'll do it anyway. I know about Buffalo Bill from an HBO show from a good 10 years ago called Deadwood. Now, I'm not into cowboys and Indians at all, really. I don't like cowboy shows. They're really not my thing. But
no.
Deadwood is, I think, my favorite show I've ever watched. It is quite literally my favorite show. I've never seen anything as good. The scripting, the casting, the writing. I've never seen a show that simultaneously has so much grit and bitterness and hatred, but yet so much heart that it can just have you in floods of tears every episode. It's an absolutely beautiful show. It was recommended by Charlie Brooker, someone that Dean and I both like. I followed the show after he recommended it, and honestly, it was one of the best recommendations. It is, and if you've not seen it, Dean, or anyone listening, I can't recommend it highly enough. Don't worry that you're not into the Wild West or cowboys. You really don't need to be. If you have an interest in the human spirit or the human condition, it's a fucking fantastic show. Really couldn't recommend it highly enough.
Awesome, mate. No, definitely. I mean, I was put off cowboys, not because of the genocide. That was bad enough. But I watched Back to the Future Part 3, and that really did put me off cowboys. So if you
That's
are
so
planning
funny
to
you
watch
say that. I'm similar.
Really? It was because of Back to the Future Part 3.
I remember seeing that when I don't know, I must have been very young, about 8 or 9, and I fucking hated that movie.
Oh, mate, especially because the first two are class, and then they brought out that one. You think, what the fuck is this?
It was so grim, wasn't it? I hated it, and you had a lot of movies like that at the time. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 also went back in time. I think like Cowboys and Indians and Ninjas and all that were written by middle-aged Hollywood writers who think, kids these days are still into cowboys, so we'll make a cowboy. But kids in the 90s didn't give a fuck about cowboys.
So I think despite our venom towards anything cowboy or Western, I am going to click on William Frederick Buffalo Bill Cody is what I've just clicked on. I mean, I have done a Control F for moustache and it's not there.
So you're on the page for Buffalo Bill and there's still no click for moustache.
No, all these people with moustaches and there's just no clickable link for moustache. I'm devastated.
Buffalo Bill looks a little bit like Colonel Saunders, doesn't he?
He does. He looks like perhaps a Jewish Colonel Saunders.
And maybe he doesn't massacre chickens, he massacres buffalo. That's a cheery note.
Yes, it sure is, especially how they almost became extinct.
So, I mean, what is your plan now? I mean, you seem to be searching desperately for a man that has a moustache, and you have landed on a few, but they haven't had moustache as a clickable link.
I'm just going to have to try and go back to my original thought process, which was the village people. Now, if I click on cowboy, here, that's a clickable link. Possibly.
Why?
There might be something.
One of them wasn't one of them a cowboy?
Exactly. That's my thought process at this stage. So potentially there might be cowboys in popular culture or something.
Yeah, that's true, because that culture is generally something that can really help us in this game, isn't it? Where on a page, if you scroll down to culture, it says in popular culture and tends to show you where things have been used, and that can help expand the game.
It can. So the next clink. The next clink, isn't that a different word for a jail?
It is, yes. We'll probably end up in the clink after all this offensive material we're broadcasting.
Right, I'm clicking on cowboy. I'm going for it.
Okay, that's number 5.
So here I am, my 5th clink. And when I'm looking at the contents here, yes, in popular culture is an option, which is great. So I'm just going to go straight down to that.
It does have an in popular culture, does it?
It does. And if I do a Control F, yep, no moustache.
Oh my God! I don't know if you've gone down to in popular culture yet, have you?
I have, and I'm delighted to say the village people are there.
Wow, that was a real stroke of luck. You got that there, I think, to get from bloody. You did. That was your original plan, wasn't it? You tried to get from U.S. Navy to village people.
I did, and in a roundabout way, I got there in the end.
And then you gave up on village people, went to Theodore Roosevelt, but strangely enough, you've actually ended up back at village people.
I have. So, I mean, I have to click it.
Surely. Yeah, that was your original thought, wasn't it? So, I mean, that will take you to 6, is it? And you're on village people?
That's right. So, potentially, I could be there. That's looking good.
Number 6, and we're on the page for village people. Now, this, I mean, they look fantastic, don't they? I mean, I don't care what anyone says about them.
I mean, you can't get much more iconic than the village people. What a motley crew of absolute legends.
I mean, Dean knows a lot more. Dean's far more into music than I am. I'm a lot more into talking. Not that you would guess from this podcast, but Dean's the musical one. I'm the more sort of solitary. I tend to prefer writing and drawing. Dean likes to fucking rave, smash it out, dance. So you might know about the history of the village people more than me. Weren't they one of the godfathers of disco?
They were. And I mean, I love my EDM, which stands for electronic dance music, if you didn't know.
I didn't. So does that require the music, Dean?
Go on. EDM stands for electronic dance music.
Oh, that was so exciting. And that's what won us our first sting of the show, what EDM stood for.
And we didn't even read it off the page. That came from the annals of my brain.
Yeah, well done, Dean. I think you've lifted the show in this first half by doing that. So is there a link for Moustache on here? I mean, if it is, that will be you done in 7.
Yeah, no, I do believe 7 is a sort of Magic number, isn't it? If you get it in 7, there's a good chance the victory may be yours. I do believe. So I've googled, I've done a Control F, and there is moustaches there.
I've done the same. I see it.
Yes, unfortunately, it's not a clickable link.
Yes, but I was just about to say that's the equivalent of hitting the post there. Really, that's the first. You must be gutted, mate. That's the first time you've come across the word.
I'm pretty devastated. And just below it, they're talking about in 1979, the United States Navy, which is a different color to the other links because I've already clicked it, was considered using their single "In the Navy" in the television and radio recruiting campaign. Now that would have been fun, wouldn't it?
It said but considered, so they never went through with it.
They didn't go through with it. I would love to see that if they had have done, because that would have been really. I'm not sure it would have aged well in this kind of cynical world that we live in now. But
and isn't one of the lines, "You can hang out with all the boys"? No, or is that from YMCA?
To be honest, I like the Village People. They're a cool band, but I don't know all the lyrics to their songs. I'd be lying if I said I did.
Okay, you don't know it as well as you know your history of Wild Bill and Buffalo Bill.
I'm highbrow, mate.
Well, I mean, as you found the word moustache, I mean, I'll offer you a deal. I'll say you can claim that you've found it, but that will cost you 10 clicks. Or do you want to see if you can actually get to the real moustache in fewer than that?
You're having a bubble, mate.
That would put you on 16 clicks if you take this moustache.
No. Is this a rule? Okay. Are you just creating rules now?
Well, I thought you might have been so devastated by the fact that it's taken you 6 clicks to get to moustache and it's still not a clickable link that you might have just been so full of woe that you just essentially give up.
Listen, mate, I might be devastated, but I'm not that sad. I can get over this. I've got resolve.
We're not this lame. We're not this lame or sad. We can push this Wikipedia game, can't we?
We can.
So I'll take that as a no. Then you're not taking this moustache. You're going to continue and find the proper page for moustache.
I am. So if I can find the members that had moustaches, now I do believe they've all got moustaches, but the one who's next to the word there would be what's that?
I'm liking the names that of Glenn Hughes in particular, in brackets Leatherman.
Leatherman. I've got to click on Glenn Hughes.
Now, I mean, the other ones, it says after that is Dave Hodo is the construction worker, and Randy Jones is cowboy. But what the fuck was the Leatherman in the Village People band?
I was the one that wore leather. I don't know what he was. Was he a policeman or I don't know?
I'm looking. I've scrolled up to their picture to have a look at them, and it's yes. I suppose it's the one with the handlebar. Actually, he has a handlebar moustache, mate.
He does. So I feel like it's got to be done, hasn't it?
So you're clicking on what? Glenn Hughes.
I am.
Okay, that's number 7.
That's number 7. Okay, surely. I mean, it's an iconic tash. Surely there's got to be moustache on here. Oh no, it's such a small page.
It's oh my god! But the I suggest everyone jump on the Wikipedia page for Glenn Hughes because he has one mighty motherfucking moustache. I mean, surely it must talk about that moustache on this page, doesn't it? Have you? Oh, it's very small. I see what you mean. Have you done it?
Yeah.
I don't think the word moustache is. Oh well.
I haven't even bothered doing a Control F because I was just thought I would read through this. It's so short. I mean, there is talking about his extravagant horseshoe moustache. So surely,
but horseshoe moustache is a clickable. It's a clickable link.
It's a clickable link. So surely, please, it's got to talk about a type of moustache.
Just out of interest, if we want to learn anything about Glenn Hughes, is that his name? Yes, Glenn Hughes. He used to frequent a gay BDSM leather bar. And he was also a bike fanatic, so hence his outfit in the Village People.
That's it. So he was just being himself.
He was just being himself. So respect to Glenn Hughes.
Definitely, hats off.
Well, I don't think it takes a genius to assume what you might click next. I'm guessing click number 8 is going to be horseshoe moustache.
It is. I'm clicking horseshoe. I'm clicking horseshoe moustache as we speak. So here we go, which is also known as a biker moustache. I've done it.
And straight on there, it says a horseshoe moustache, also known as a biker moustache, is a full moustache, and that word is clickable.
It is. So I've done it in 9 clicks.
You've done it 9 clicks. You've gone from bat bomb to moustache.
There you go. That's how exciting it can be.
So that's given you an idea of the game. Dean's done that in 9. I mean, I must say, well done, because I did think when you were sort of hanging around the Mount Rushmore Buffalo Bill, I didn't think you'd do it. And then when you found the word moustache, but it was unclickable, I thought I might tempt you in by giving you an extra 10 clicks for you just to give up. But you did it in just 3 after that. So it was well done for turning it down.
I told you, I've got resilience. This one's got grit.
So when we come back after the break, I'm going to have to try and do Dean's WikiLink that he gives me in fewer than 9. So we won't reveal what he's given me yet. But I
was going to say, you're getting ahead of yourself there, mate. Isn't there a whole section that we've forgotten about?
Well, we still have to play the fake news fart. Are you ready?
Let's play.
Okay, so I'm going to read you 3 headlines here, Dean. 1 of them is genuine. 2 are not. Okay, number 1. These are quite strange. 5 years ago, I owned a Bugatti. Now I spank my mother for Pornhub clicks.
Oh, nice. How Freudian.
Just before I move on, how do you think you would broach that topic with your mum?
And
I'm asking you personally, Dean. How would you personally broach this with your mum?
I would say, Ma, you know I don't have the Bugatti anymore. You know I'm broke. Here's a Sigmund Freud book. Why don't you bend over my knee and we'll read it together?
And we'll live stream to Pornhub. I don't think it mentioned spanking her with a Sigmund Freud book, but that works too. I'll move on to the next one because this is very sinister sounding. Well, they all are actually. Number 2. 8 years ago, I was a chief exec. Now I glug witch's milk on Japanese TV.
Witch's milk? What the fuck is witch's milk?
Have you not heard of witch's milk?
I haven't, no. I didn't realise witches were real, so I didn't realise that they were milked. Now,
during the huge amount of research I do for this show, I came across what witch's milk is, so I do know. I mean, would you like me to... I guess I can tell you. Do you want to know what witch's milk is? It's not the most pleasant thing, but I suppose we should learn, right?
Well, I can imagine if this is meant to be a genuine article in a newspaper or publication, they would have told you what witch's milk is. So please enlighten us.
So, witch's milk is milk that can occasionally be secreted by the nipples of newborn babies.
What the fuck? No. Mate.
Yes. So, that headline was 8 years ago, I was a chief exec. Now I glug witch's milk on Japanese TV.
Well, I know the Japs are pretty crazy, but wow, that's next level.
I mean, we've got to do a forfeit. I didn't mention that earlier, but that's how well thought out this show is. But I know we're in the middle of a game, but we do have to do a forfeit at the end of the series. Whoever has more points, whoever has more points wins the series, and the loser will have to do a forfeit. We haven't decided what that is yet, but just after I've read that, I thought, just as I read those words, I glug witch's milk. Possibly the forfeit could be the loser has to go into a coffee house and do a live recording of them requesting a latte of witch's milk.
Oh, yes. That's pretty grim. That's really made me want to up my game and
win the show.
Win the show. So yes, come on, hit me with the third.
Okay,
fake news fart.
You could get a point here, Dean, if you guessed the right one straight away. So, and the third one is 10 years ago, I won the lotto. Now I suck off dogs for quavers.
Oh, that's disgusting, man.
Now, I'll go through these one more time because all three of them are fucking horrible. But just to give you a quick rundown, 5 years ago, I owned a Bugatti. Now I spank my mother for Pornhub clicks. 8 years ago, I was a chief exec. Now I glug witch's milk on Japanese TV. And 10 years ago, I won the lotto. Now I suck off dogs for quavers. Now, unfortunately, one of those appeared in a newspaper.
Well, I don't even know where to start, mate, to be honest.
I don't even know which you would hope is true, to be fair.
No, I mean, probably just because it's the least repulsive. I'm going to go for the mother spanking. I mean, it's quite sordid. It's not a nice image, but the other two are just so disgusting that I'm going to have to hope and pray that someone is spanking their mother.
Yeah, it's the least stomach.
Right?
I suppose it's the least stomach churning, but unfortunately, no. I created that in my head, Dean.
Oh, you sick bastard!
So
it says a lot about your psyche.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, I should go to a therapist really for coming up with headlines like that. I'll put it out there now. I don't spank my mother for Pornhub clicks.
It's next level.
Well, you're not going to get a point there, Dean, because you didn't get it on the first guess. Now, if you guess the next one wrong, I get the first point of the show. And the first point of the series, actually. And you'll be en route to ordering some witch's milk.
I think I'm going to have to go for the witch's milk just because simply the concept of someone sucking off a dog for a packet of crisps, it's even worse than ordering a witch's milk latte.
It's nearly inconceivable sucking off a dog for quavers.
It really is. So I might regret this, but I'm going to go for the witch's milk.
You think 8 years ago someone was a chief exec and now he glugs witch's milk on Japanese TV?
I'm going for it.
Well, I don't know whether I'm happy or sad to say this, but I've got a point because that is not the true headline. I made that up as well.
Mate, what's wrong with you? I mean, if you'd made up either of those, it was truly disgusting, but
it's a bit depressing, isn't it? And that the real headline, you can all Google it, is 10 years ago I won the lotto. Now I suck off dogs for quavers. Now I must just quickly comment on the veracity of these trashy headlines. It's from something called the Sunday Sport, which is a newspaper in the UK that's more useless than toilet paper.
I do fully agree. It's a trash of the highest degree.
But that was a headline from that. I won't go into details on the story because I really don't know how true it is, but it was genuinely a headline. You can all Google it. You can read the story. The headline explains it really. But yeah, you can all jump in there. But Dean got it wrong. I tricked him with my two clever headlines there, my two disturbing but clever headlines. And I get the first goal of the season. So it's 1 to me and 0 to you.
Skullduggery. Farm it.
That's exactly it. Thanks for that. So we'll just go to the break now because I think that's what we need.
I need a rest.
And then after that, Dean will give me his, and I guess he can try and pull it back. That's a point, not his underpants.
Foreskin.
Yeah. Hello, and welcome back to part 2 of the WikiLinks podcast. I'm leading Dean 1-0 because I beat him on the fake news fart. But he could get a point back here because he's going to give me his WikiLink. And if I can't do it in fewer than 9, we'll end this show on 1-1. So are you ready? Are you ready to reveal your WikiLink, Dean? Is it an exciting one?
We're back.
We're back. That should be our tagline.
It should. So yes, we're back, and we're back with a vengeance. A bit like the Germans in World War II.
Oh, brutal.
Well, it's relevant because it's relevant because I want to challenge you to go from the Germans to pansexuality.
The Germans, what, as in like the German race?
No, I'm actually referring to The Germans, which was an episode of one of my favourite shows, The Fawlty Towers.
Right, what? So I'm going from the episode of Fawlty Towers entitled The Germans to what? Pansexual?
Pansexuality.
Right. Okay, right. That's certainly an odd one.
And and if you bring up the page, which is why I'm barely containing my laughter here, there is a rather amusing image of John Cleese performing a goose step.
Okay, let me jump straight to this page then, because I was about to jump on the page for Germans, but
I don't think there is a page just called The Germans when they're talking about the German race.
Okay, I'm on the page for the Germans. I see the picture you mean. Yes, that's one of my favorite scenes from Fawlty Towers. Like John Cleese is such a fantastic physical actor, a bit like Jim Carrey when he's doing that goose step up and down the hall. I thought it's a great scene.
It really is, definitely. It's I think probably him, like you say, Jim Carrey and Lee Evans. Probably,
Lee Evans, I don't know much about. I don't know. Oh yeah, he's a comedian you really like, isn't he? That Lee Evans.
Yeah, he was one of my favourites as a kid.
Has he goose stepped?
Probably not. I mean, he's more from the ilk of walking with your shopping trolley or something like that. That kind of comedy. So I'm a little bit cynical now as to watch Lee Evans, but he is funny, and he's worth watching, definitely.
A little shout out there, was it?
It was.
I've got to have a think for a minute, because this is I can't think of an immediately obvious path to get from this page of the Germans' Fawlty Tower episode to pansexuality.
I don't really know why I've come up with this, and I want to apologise.
Scrolling down in the plot, there are some links here, but I would probably have to bleep them out. I don't really want to say these offensive racial stereotype words on episode 1, I don't think, but they're on here and they're clickable links. But I don't think that's going to really help me.
I don't think racial slurs have anything to do with pansexuality, does it?
Well, you could say that people insult people based on race. People might also insult people based on sexuality. So I could get some sort of some sort of thing there. If you hover over goose stepping, which is another clickable link, there's some really fantastic high-class goose stepping in there, on par with John Cleese.
I mean, the leg is not raised quite as high, but it's certainly symmetrical.
The leg planted on the floor is perfectly straight.
It is, unlike John Cleese, who has got a crooked, bent knee.
You know what? I just like the look of that goose stepping, and I would like to know a little bit about goose stepping, and I really don't know where else I'm going to go. So you know what? In this game, I'm going to prove that you can sometimes just go anywhere, because I don't know where the hell I'm going to go from this. So, you know what? I'm just going to click goose stepping.
Fair play, mate.
That's number 1.
I did not expect you to click on goose stepping when I challenged you here.
Did you expect me to click on a racial slur?
No. I thought you might have clicked on possibly John Cleese, because he's a well-known pansexual. Let's move on. So I'm
on the Wikipedia page for goose step, and I'm not really seeing a ton of great links on this page.
No,
I see Russia, I see Nazi, Germany, pejorative, British Army. I mean, pejorative, I guess could work, because there might be slurs. Like I said, that was why I was thinking earlier about slurs that might happen against races might also happen against sexuality. So pejorative could be a click.
Well, unfortunately, that is the world we live in, where people aren't accepted, whether you've been born that way or whether you choose to be that way. You should be accepted for who you are, but unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in a lot of the time.
I mean, it's unfortunate for the world, but it's fortunate for the WikiLinks game, because it could link me to pansexual.
It could.
So, I mean, I think when it's all said and done, it's worth it.
I can't disagree with you, mate.
I mean, there is a clink here for a clink. I've done it what you did. There's a clink here for Leopold I, Prince of Anhalt-Dessau. Now, do you know him?
No, but was he a pansexual?
He looks like a sinister fella in that image.
I doubt he was pansexual then.
Now, I think everyone could just jump to the page for Leopold I, Prince of Anhalt-Dessau. and you can all learn about him. I'm not clicking on that because I don't think he was pansexual. And he probably didn't have much to do with pansexuality.
But he did have a rather nice tash.
He did, which might have helped you on your search.
I know. If only I'd reached Leopold I, and I could have done it in less than 9 clicks.
Now I'm going to, because again, I really don't know where I am here. I've only had 1 click. I think what I said about pejorative could be quite a good idea. So you know what? That's going to be my number 2, and I'm on pejorative.
Okay. So do you want to just explain exactly what pejorative means for the listener at home?
A pejorative or slur is a word or grammatical form expressing a negative or disrespectful connotation, a low opinion, or lack of self-respect towards someone or something. Like we said, it's not exactly a great thing.
No, and it's probably not worthy of a noise, because I'd imagine that most people, they definitely would know what a slur is, I would imagine. So, yeah.
I mean, if they're listening to this show, we're probably full of slurs in this show generally, aren't we? No, actually, we've behaved quite well on this episode.
We have. We're easing them in.
Yeah.
Don't give away the game just yet.
Now, I've just happened to hover over the word criticism there, and now it's got a very strange image. Now, would you like go on, Dean? Explain that image to the listeners because they can't see it.
So there's a black and white image, and there's a man. He looks like the classical English gentleman you might see in a poster from perhaps early 20th century or late 19th century.
He looks like you with a moustache.
He does look like me with a moustache, but as we're on a podcast, we're on radio, the people don't necessarily know what I look like. Just imagine your quintessential English gentleman. But it's not so much the man that's the point in question here. It's the fact that he's got something on his head. Now, it appears to be some sort of creature in a top hat. I really don't know what it is, to be honest. Is it a bat? Is it
It's the creature has some kind of proboscis, doesn't it? Like a long proboscis, like a mosquito.
Yeah.
Is the creature inserting the proboscis into the man's head?
He does seem to be sucking his brains.
I mean, this creature has big ears, like almost like an African elephant, and sort of hooked back legs like a crab. It really is a fantastically strange image on the Wikipedia page for criticism. And I mean, you know what? I think I might click it.
I think you have to, because I want to know more about what this image has to do with criticism.
I mean, I could just be throwing away my game here. I mean, there's the ding. There's number 3. I'm supposed to be getting to pansexual, and I'm now just getting sucked into these nice images, and I'm on criticism. But then again, I mean, I guess it could, well, who knows? Anyway, I'm on criticism, and it actually explains what this picture is now.
So it's called Critica, an engraving by Julio Ruelas,
circa 1907.
So there you go. I was right. It was a turn of the century image.
It was, yes. You know your moustaches.
I do.
Now, I love that image. That's why I clicked this page. I kind of got sucked up in that. I really need to try and get slightly back on track. I'm on criticism, which is quite a vast idea. I mean, again, I'm scanning the links here. There's I see dialogue, prejudice, literary criticism, Samuel Johnson, Alexander Pope, division of labour. Oh, it's getting neo-Marxism. Now, this is getting a bit deep, isn't it?
No, this is right in our ballpark of what the kind of thing that we're into, though, isn't it? Talking about things like Marxism.
It is, because you're a political activist, aren't you, Dean?
I am. Nut job.
Now, you, at one point, did you form a political party? Did you have intentions to form a political party, or was it all just a fever dream and something you'd rather not get into publicly?
I did. I wrote a manifesto, and I had every intention of forming a political party. And then we had Jeremy Corbyn took over the Labour Party and adopted a lot of my ideas. I'm not saying he took it from my manifesto directly, but he certainly...
Did he read your manifesto, I was going to say?
No, I don't think he did, because I didn't publish it. But around the time I was going to publish it, he took over from Ed Miliband and sort of took the party to the left, which is where I was hoping to go with my party. So the Black and White Party, as it was called, was shelved. And then by the time that it was looking like Corbyn was destitute and no longer going to be running the Labour Party, I'd left the country by that stage. So there we go.
And in fairness, mate, you probably would have done better than Corbyn in the elections, wouldn't you?
Well, I couldn't have done any worse than that 2019 election. That
he did get hammered, so it might have been worth you actually running.
It might have been, I know, but that's hindsight for you, mate.
Right. Well, as we've digressed on Dean's political history, he has a sordid, interesting background. If you keep tuning into the series, you'll hear all about Dean's interesting past. I feel like I should jump in with something interesting I did. I used to press apples for a job. How's that?
You did, at Middle Farm, nonetheless, wasn't it?
It was, and I worked there as an apple presser, pressing apples. So that's quite a unique job, isn't it? I didn't form a political party, but I did press apples for public viewing. Covered in wasps, I was. So if you don't like wasps, it's not a good job because it's in the summer. You're pressing apples; they absolutely swarm to you. They get in the apple pressing machine. They go in your shirt. They land on your arms. Luckily, I have absolutely no problem with wasps. So I'm remarkably calm when they come near me, and I don't mind them landing on me. I just gently brush them off. But
and they didn't sting you.
No, they didn't, because I wasn't swiping at them. I wasn't sort of, being very jumpy. They would, they just wanted the apples. They would land on my arms or whatever, and I would very gently just shoo them away, and they would go for the apples. But I did have lots of people commenting, because occasionally people would watch and children would come and watch it be done. And I did get plenty of comments like, "Oh, how can you stand with all those wasps?" Because it seems like quite a common phobia of people, wasps, apparently.
But I do believe that wasps can be quite painful when they sting people. So,
So I guess you could say it could be a fear of pain, eh?
Yeah, which is a fairly common fear, and probably one that's hardwired into most human beings. Maybe
that's why then I'm not scared of them, because as you'll all come to learn also on this show, I am pretty...
You're a gimp.
Yeah, I've done this show because my therapist has recommended it. Apparently, it will help me get over my gimp desires.
Your masochism.
So I'm just going to click on prejudice.
Okay, there we go. That came out of nowhere.
I got embarrassed because we started talking about my gimp feelings.
We'll move on.
Yeah, I didn't want, and we'd already talked about Glenn Hughes, the Leatherman, and that hit a bit too close to home, Dean.
And we don't want to make you feel any prejudice, do we? So
No, exactly. I don't want to be prejudiced against.
Exactly that. So
I've just jumped on that, and now there are an awful lot of links in here in the first sentence. The first couple sentences: political affiliation, sex, gender, beliefs, values, social class, age, disability, religion, sexuality, race, ethnicity, language, nationalism, complexion, beauty, height, occupation, wealth, education, criminality, sport, team affiliation, and music tastes.
Oh, pause for breath.
Oh,
to think that
I did it.
Humanity. What is wrong with humanity, really, that we feel the need to discriminate against people based on anything, let alone any of those things?
I mean, some of the most, they're all ridiculous, but music tastes. Oh, God.
I mean, the only one that I can associate with is sport team affiliation, because if you support Manchester United, you deserve to be prejudiced against.
Now, Dean is pinning his Liverpool affiliation to the flag in this episode. You made it clear
well and truly.
Yeah, the right side. But all prejudice is wrong generally, apart from when it's a matter of Liverpool and Man United, in which case prejudice is correct, because Liverpool is the correct club and Manchester United is not. Let me disassociate myself with these sentences. I'm speaking for Dean.
And not Rachel Riley.
Who the fuck is Rachel Riley?
Rachel Riley is a famous Man United fan. She's the replacement for Carol Vorderman on the show Countdown.
Oh, that young bird with blonde hair.
Yeah.
She's a famous Man United fan, is she?
She is, yeah.
And you hate her?
Yeah, well, I used to love her.
Yeah.
I used to absolutely love her. I thought she was beautiful, clever. I didn't even mind that she was a Man United fan. But then she went very anti-Corbyn as well. So she your spank bank.
Right. So, I mean, would you take the opportunity to let Rachel Riley ride you if she said, "I'll ride you, Dean," but while you're doing it, you have to scream, "Fuck socialism! I love Wayne Rooney."
Wayne Rooney, sit on my face.
Yeah. Would you do that in exchange for riding Rachel Riley from Countdown?
When I was a sad, desperate man, I would have discarded all my beliefs and passions for a night of passion with Rachel Riley. A nice right wing shag, and I would say, "Consonant, please. Vowel."
Yeah. Right.
She'd be like,
let's
"Ooh."
let's move on. And we're still on the page for prejudice. We diverged slightly somewhat there. I'm still on the page for prejudice. I'm on 4 clicks in case anyone's not paying attention. I went through all the clicks that were on this page. There are a lot, and I think I've slowed it down by getting off topic. So I'm sure. What did I say? Political affiliation, sex, gender, beliefs, sexuality is a click there.
Wow. Now I'm getting a bit afraid now because you're coming quite close.
Because what am I? I'm on 4. You did it in 9.
Yeah. This is a bit worrying, especially because I lost out on the fake news fart. You could make this 2-0 quite easily here, I believe.
I'm definitely clicking sexuality, that's for sure. That takes me to 5.
I don't blame you.
And the actual page is sexual orientation. Now, surely. Now, that was... I'm actually surprised myself. I thought I'd really gone off subject there, and I was just in some mad pit about discussing Jeremy Corbyn and shagging while shouting Wayne Rooney. But weirdly, oh my goodness me, and I have seen in the second paragraph, it says, the categories are aspects of the more nuanced nature of sexual identity and terminology. For example, people may use other labels such as pansexual.
You've done it.
I've fucking done it. That's number 6.
You've fucking done it, Kant.
And that music that just played there is the victory fanfare, meaning that I won the WikiLinks game. I did it in 6 clicks. Dean did his in 9. I must say, when you gave me the path of the Germans' Faulty Tower episode to pansexual, I really thought I thought it would be more than 9.
So did I. I thought I'd challenged you to something. I picked 2 completely unrelated, bizarre pages. Well, not bizarre, as in like pansexual is bizarre. Like
backpedal, Dean, quick.
Backpedal. Cut. I picked.
Yeah.
I picked. Right.
Oh, fuck it up.
Definitely cut this, man. Fucking hell. So yes, I picked 2 completely unrelated topics that I believe to have nothing to do with each other, but you've linked them. So hats off.
I've linked them in 6, and I must say, when you went from Bat Bomb straight to the US Navy and you started talking about in the Navy, I thought you were going to do that in maybe 4 or something like that. But it just shows how exciting this game can be.
Yeah, and it can throw you a curveball, you know.
So I've got another point, as I said there. So I'm going to end this episode 2-0 up.
You lucky bastard.
Now, like we said earlier, we don't know. We haven't completely settled on this idea, but at the moment, it's our only idea for the forfeit, which is going into the cafe and ordering a witch's milk latte from the barista. So at the moment, luckily, I'm not going to have to do that. So let's hope I can keep ahead for the season.
No, let's hope not.
Yeah, let's hope not. For all the Dean fans out there, jump on the socials and start giving him some motivation for the later episodes. To hopefully he can pull it back.
I need you to be my 12th man.
So on that note, we'll go thrillingly to the shout out before we go, because I've ended the show. It's 2-0 to me. But just before we go, we like to do the shout out. Like I said at the beginning, it's just something we think is worth giving a bit of credit to just before we go. It can really be anything from, let's say, a sandwich we think is particularly good, to an organisation, a book, a film, anything at all, really, that we think just deserves a bit of a mention. So I'll tell you what, Dean, seeing as you lost so horribly and I won 2 points in this episode, I'll let you go first with your shout out.
I think specifically I wanted to shout out AI, because I think we have reached a period of our evolution where AI is potentially evolving faster, and it's quite amazing, really, what we can do with computers, but more what computers can do by themselves now, how they learn, and how they create, and it really sort of, it's reached the stage where you could say that it's an entity in itself, that AI is perhaps a life form, or a consciousness, a sentience, should I say?
It's a very interesting topic, isn't it? I mean, I like a lot of Japanese media, and there's a movie called Ghost in the Shell, which I've been watching since I was a kid. I didn't understand it when I was a kid, but now I'm older, it's very much along these lines about what is consciousness, what is being real. If an AI can say, I have feeling and I am here and I think, does that not define them as real as us?
Exactly. And I mean, AI even can create now, which is quite amazing. And much like the author J.K. Rowling, AI has written a Harry Potter book.
A full Harry
novel.
Potter book?
Excuse me here. It's definitely not magic, but a computer has written a Harry Potter novel, and it's beyond terrible. So it does appear that it's written a full novel.
And it's beyond terrible. What did you mean by that?
Well, I'm just reading off a website now. It's telling me that it's beyond terrible.
Okay.
I disagree with the critique of the novel. I believe it's brilliant. It's called Harry Potter and the Portrait of What Looked Like a Large Pile of Ash.
And the portrait of what looked like a large pile of ash, but it wasn't a large pile of ash.
I don't know what it was, to be honest. But
have you read this book, Dean?
I've only read an excerpt, but what I did read was brilliant in my mind.
Okay, and this was completely written by AI, was it? Okay.
It was completely written by AI. I believe they fed all the Harry Potter books into an AI program, and it spat out a book. Now, I'll read you a part of it. This is one of my favourite bits. "Locked," said Mr. Staircase, the shabby robed ghost. They looked at the door, screaming about how it was closed, and was asking it to be replaced with a small orb. The password was "beef women," Hermione cried.
This is fucking excellent.
Exactly. Now, I'm not a fan of Harry Potter. I believe the books are dirge, in my opinion. The films are probably just as bad. I've not seen them. I read about a quarter of the original book in school, and I absolutely hated it. But this, I would read.
I think we missed the boat on that, didn't we? I think our generation was we missed Harry Potter, didn't we, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of adults that like it, so, maybe we're just wankers, and we never gave it a chance.
We're Philistines.
We're absolute Philistines. Maybe Harry Potter is the Shakespeare of our time. Who knows? But yeah, this AI book is amazing, and I really do have to take my hats off to AI, because the password was "beef women."
Well, I like that. I think I will check out this book. So it's not a bad shout out. And just to confirm, were you shouting out AI itself, or just this Harry Potter book?
I was shouting out AI itself, but to be honest, I think I've changed my shout out to just this book. Because there are some darker aspects of AI. There was another thing that caught my eye recently, that there was a Microsoft, which was a friendly AI chatbot, but they fed some of the Twitter pages, or just let it loose on Twitter, I believe. And apparently in less than a day, I think it became a totally racist asshole.
Right, of course it did.
Which it's not surprising, is it? It's totally unsurprising.
That makes complete sense. It's why I tend to stay away from these platforms, because it's not even worth the stress, is it, of the absolute idiocy and vile crap you get on these places. It's not even worth getting wound up about. It
really, really isn't, no. So it says here that it took less than 24 hours for Twitter to corrupt an innocent AI chatbot. It says Tay, pretty soon after Tay, which is the name that the chatbot was launched, people started tweeting the bot with all sorts of misogynistic, racist, and Donald Trumpist remarks.
And then it became one of them, did it?
It did. It says Tay, being essentially a robot parrot with an internet connection, started repeating these sentiments back to users, proving correct that the old programming adage, "flaming garbage pile in, flaming garbage pile out."
I mean, it's a hilarious story in the sense that you just have to laugh, don't you?
You do. But if you do want a laugh, an actual laugh rather than a laugh and a cry, then do check out the Harry Potter and the portrait of what looked like a large pile of ash.
Okay, great. Well, I will do that, Dean, and we'll recommend our listeners do too. Maybe we can post a link on the socials for this.
Maybe, if they're lucky.
So, and my shout out, it's quite broad, but I just thought, picked it out of nowhere. But I just thought, why not? It's something that deserves a shout. It's just charity in the broadest sense. It's just charity because
Okay.
I'm not saying do any specific charities or do this, that, or the other, but I picked charity because this week I'm doing Brave the Shave, where you get sponsored to shave your head to raise money for Macmillan's cancer research. Now, the reason I didn't pick Macmillan's or another specific charity is because many people can have lots of qualms, some rightly so, some wrong, about charitable organisations and how they could be corrupt and the money doesn't go to the right places and whatnot, which, some of these criticisms are absolutely right. But that doesn't detract from the benefit, I think, of charity itself. You don't have to give money to Oxfam or an organization you don't trust. You can still be charitable in your everyday life just by buying a sandwich for someone on the street, someone who might be homeless and just wants some food, buying them a bag of food from the pound shop, or going to Tesco and just buy them some sandwiches and crisps and give it to them as you come out. It's very easy to be charitable, and it can be a very good thing to do. You don't have to put all these negative connotations on it. You can do very simple charity, starting at home and on your doorstep.
No, definitely. And I think that's a brilliant shout out because, like you say, everyone should be charitable in their lives, even if it's to people or
exactly, friends and family works too. Just buy someone a gift or anything, or even when it comes to your birthday. I've been telling lots of my partner's family, I have enough stuff. I don't need more stuff. I have everything. I've got enough clothes, food, heating, entertainment. Don't just spend money pointlessly to give me a gift. Donate it to someone that actually needs it, rather than keeping the money with everyone that has all the money anyway. Just share it a bit. I don't need anything, so just share it out.
Yeah, and that's why I've donated to your Brave the Shave, because I think it's a great thing you're doing, and I'm looking forward to seeing your slap head.
Yes, I will look particularly odd. I mean, I might as well quickly say on the pod, I had long hair. At one point in my early 20s, it reached my knees. It's not at my knees now. It's only at my shoulders. But I haven't cut my hair in a long time, so I will feel odd. I will feel odd, but I've already raised 250 for Macmillan, so it's all worth it. And my hair grows quick, so it's all good.
Happy days.
So I think we've ended on a positive note there, haven't we, Dean?
Certainly more positive than the rest of the show.
That's for sure. But that's not hard, is it?
Definitely not, no.
As the music starts kicking in there, I guess we'll say bye. We'll be back the same time next Friday. We're out every Friday. We've got 4 episodes coming. The 5th will be the forfeit.
Ooh, I'm getting worried now about this witch's milk because I'm 2-0 down. I really need to up my game. So hopefully when you tune in next week, I will.
It'll be all to play for. So I'll say bye and we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone. Thanks for tuning in for the very first episode of WikiLinks. Bye.
Goodbye.
This has been a Dating Tips for Guys production, with special thanks to FreezerFix and Audacity. Follow the WikiLinks podcast on Twitter at WikiLinksPod, Instagram at WikiLinksPodcast, or email us at wikilinks.podcast@gmail.com.